Good morning to anyone that's already joined us, and thank you for joining us today. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes to let people join as attendees, and then we will kick off. So, as I just said, good morning, everyone. We're just waiting for people to join, so do bear with us. If you've got any Q&As today, please feel free to use Q&A on Zoom, and we shall come to a question and answers bit at the end where we can go through them. Just going to wait a couple more minutes, and then we will get started. I see people coming in, so that's good news. Okay, so we'll make a start now. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our webinar today is going to be about good care. It's Good Care Month, so we really wanted to highlight what good care means to individuals. And we are very proud to be hosting a great panel today of experts in health and social care and learning and development. So let's talk about what we're going to cover, and then we'll do some introductions. So today we're going to be covering what good care looks like, and that can be different for everybody. So we're going to go through and get everyone's opinion on good care, and then have a little brainstorm about strategies to achieve good care. So what do the individuals on our panelists already use, and what are some hints and tips to making sure we're always striving to achieve good care within the organisations that we work for. We'll always, my words today, bear with me, everybody. We will also be looking at the role of training in providing good care and how that supports your staff. And then just a discussion on why we enjoy working in social care and why we'd recommend it as a career, because it is one of those things. I love it. And I know that everybody on the panel does as well. So it would be really good to hear everyone's thoughts on that. So who are we? Who is talking with you today? So I will kick off. My name's Gemma. If you've attended these webinars before, you're probably used to me by now. I'm a business development lead here at My Learning Cloud. I've been with My Learning Cloud for 8 years and have a background in the health and social care sector and a passion for it. I absolutely adore the sector. I miss working on the ground, but also love the support we can give the sector with our training that we offer. So that's myself, and we'll go down the list because then I don't have to pick anybody. So Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the Senior Digital Content Specialist at My Learning Cloud. So I head up the team that creates the e-learning. I've been here for about 4 years now, and before that I also worked in the health and social care sector. I've worked in domiciliary care and residential care homes, supporting a range of individuals. And like Gemma, I love it. It's the sector that I have a passion for. And although my role within it has changed slightly, it's still something that's very close to my heart.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy. Caroline.
Hi there. So I'm Caroline. I'm a registered manager in mental health services with the U Trust. I've worked for the U Trust for 21 years, just over, and all of my experience in health and social care has been with the U Trust, so I've not been anywhere else. Again, I love my role. I'm passionate about the job that I do. I've had varying roles throughout my time, but they've all been in frontline services, which is just where I feel I need to be. I enjoy being amongst and with people and thrive best when I'm seeing that sort of day-to-day stuff.
Love that. Thank you, Caroline. Luke.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luke Wiltshire. I'm the Head of Learning Development at Colten Care. We operate 21 nursing homes across the South Coast. I love the world of health and social care. Quite qualified as a social worker way back when, worked as a social worker. I've been a registered manager of learning disability services. And about 7 years ago, I stepped away from sort of frontline leadership roles in the care sector, moved into the world of learning and development. So I now lead a team of 8 of us here at Colten Care who deliver a whole range of training, learning, and coaching. I also am a qualified coach to do a lot of coaching with the senior executive team as well. So yeah, really, really pleased to be here today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Luke. And last but by no means least, Trish.
Hi everybody, my name is Trish John. I'm a Learning and Development Partner and I work at the National Office for Home Instead, which is a domiciliary care franchise organisation. And currently we have about 255 plus offices and each office is independently owned and operated, running under the umbrella of Home Instead. So I have about too many years to say, experience in health and social care in a wide range of roles, including social services and training. And if I could say, what was your best job in your life, Trish? This would be the job. So because it gives me the opportunity to affect change with our organisation and bring our values to everybody that we actually train. So I'm responsible for everything learning and development, including my learning cloud. Wow. So great opportunity, and I love my job too. I miss the hands-on front line, so I actually volunteer for a charity that supports older people to end loneliness, and we do afternoon teas once a month. So that's me.
I love that. Thank you so much, Trish. We were just discussing before we started the webinar, me and Trish met at your first meeting about my learning cloud coming in. So we go back a while, as we said, we don't like to talk about the years, but we do. So thank you for joining us. So as you can see from the introductions, that's why I was excited about the panel that we've got today, because we've got some people who love the sector and have that real passion that My Learning Cloud strive to spread with all of our training that we offer. So what is Good Care Month about? It's about celebrating those that deliver care, and that can be in any role, because we always, we're sat here as panelists today, learning and development, we've got registered managers, and with all of our backgrounds as well, doing different roles, like Luke said about, social worker, etc. It can mean anyone realistically that is part of somebody who receives care's life, and whether that's doctors, people at hospitals, etc. It's about that bigger picture, and I think we are moving forward and in a direction that we need to go to ensure good care, and we should celebrate that. We've come a long way. There's a long way to go. I think we all agree, but we've definitely come a long way. And with the years we've all discussed, we've probably seen quite a lot of change. So I used to also work with Caroline back, well, we discussed that how many years ago that was as well, and I'm not gonna say, but it was a while back. And even the changes from then, isn't it, Caroline, from how we used to support individuals to now has completely changed.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be, a need for more from us with less coming into our sector, and we're needing to be much more creative in how we support and deliver support, and how we work with individuals to do those things that are meaningful in everyday life that we just don't seem to have the funds for. So it's getting our thinking caps on and learning and working together as teams, how we can bring those initiatives into people's lives so that they can still thrive and have great opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is challenging the stereotypes about careers in care, isn't it? So I know that, Luke, you were just saying about your different experiences that you've had. And I know, I hope you don't, but everyone's interviewing all the time. And I know that it's what lots of people do, don't they, Luke? And it's interesting at the interviews, isn't it, that people get quite I've done many an interview in my time, and some of the questions you get asked, you're like, I don't, there does seem to be this stereotype about care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to add to that, even stereotypes into when I stepped into the world of social care, which I started in 2003. It was very much, why is a man working in social care? So there's stereotypes in male, female, what sort of jobs you're doing, stereotypes in what care actually is and what it isn't. So yeah, our industry is full of stereotypes.
Yes, and it's a shame, I think, because I think like any job, it's something you have to have a passion about, and people forget that there are people who want to be carers and are passionate about being good carers. And it is a rewarding job. We're not going to sit here and say it's the best paid, but it is a rewarding job. And as Caroline said, with that ability to use initiative and having to kind of be creative with the thoughts and what you're doing, it is about challenging all the stereotypes of what we would typically do, how we would typically support people, and through interview processes, even who we would typically recruit. Like you're saying, it's about opening those gates and going, no, as long as you're passionate, we can go from there.
You can teach us that age-old thing, which, you can teach skill, but you can't teach attitude. So I would much rather take someone with the right attitude and heart and those behaviours, and we can teach. That's our job, right? So Trish, we work in learning development. Our job is to offer those skills and development for the people to be able to give that really good care. But we absolutely cannot teach behaviours and attitude. That comes at an individual level.
I know we always recruit on values. So, if somebody has experience of looking after a loved one, then that's amazing. That's fantastic, because actually the care and the values that they actually bring to our clients means that they're actually looking at the client as a person. And you can say person-centered care, but to actually put it into practice is sometimes not as easy as just like, oh, well, they like the shower in this way, but actually, do you follow the direction that they actually want the shower in that way, and actually do it in that way for them, asking them and helping them to be as independent as possible throughout the whole process? We always say here, if we do the right thing for the people in the right way, then your ratings will come by themselves, because you're showing that you're actually providing a service that is the best that it can be in a relationship-led way for your clients. And therefore your care professionals, actually grow and achieve because of that. And that's what we say at home instead. So
Absolutely. I know, Amy, you've been looking at our courses that we put about that kind of rating. And I know you were quite passionate about it not being meeting the inspection.
Yeah, so we are developing some kind of a suite of courses about the CQC ratings, and we have done exactly that. There's so many courses out there about, how to prepare for your CQC inspection in terms of how to tick the boxes. And we here at MLC are that's not the way kind of that we like to look at things. It's how can you make sure you're delivering the best possible care all the time. Like, you should proactively be doing that. And like you said, Trish, the ratings then speak for themselves. That stuff comes afterwards. You shouldn't be delivering good care for the purpose of the inspection. You're delivering good care for the individuals you're supporting, and the inspection is just something that kind of checks that's what you're doing and kind of validates that.
Absolutely. I think it's really important, isn't it? And that is what good care is about. It's consistency of approach. So, like Trish, you were just saying about the shower incident. Now, my care plan might say that I like X, Y, and Z. And I might do. And even if you think about it on a day-to-day thing, okay, like you said, someone would like to shower, but actually, every so often, I like a bath. Ask. It's always going to change, and I think there is that balance of initiative's a big thing in care. And Caroline, that's what you were saying, like changing things and how we work them. Because just because it's written down, it's a preference, absolutely. But it doesn't mean it's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, we go into the other thing where it's like, well, I followed what it said that they like. Yes, but if I like cottage pie. It doesn't mean I want to eat cottage pie every day. It just means it's a preference. It's one of my favourites. And you can all tell what I had for dinner last night from that conversation. But anyway, so it is communication, isn't it? Realistically, communication and allowing that to be from managers to support workers to the individuals they support, and everywhere in between.
And
I
Gemma,
think oh, sorry, Luke.
no,
Go on.
I was just going to say, one of one of the most sort of valuable experiences I've ever had in the sector, and probably one of my most proud moments I've ever had in the sector, is when, and I believe all of us on the call, panelists, our job is to sometimes challenge practice and challenge stereotypes. And I recruited, when I was a registered manager for learning disability services, I recruited a young male who had autism himself, and recruited him into the position of support worker for a gentleman with autism. And he was the best support worker I ever had. I still am friendly with him now since leaving the organisation, and he's just the most marvellous support worker you could ever wish for. And I think it takes people, you know, the looks that I got when I sort of suggested it, and I don't work for that organisation anymore, and they shall remain nameless. But you sort of, there's a misconception where actually it's our job as leaders in this sector to challenge practice and look at the diversity that's needed. And I think our sector is so diverse, and we need to celebrate diversity more in the sector.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think we're evolving, aren't we, as a sector? And if I think back to when I was recruited sort of 21 years ago, I had no professional experience at all. I was recruited under my lived experience and my family experience of supporting people with mental health. And I felt like that was a change, that things were starting to change. And my most recent person I recruited also lived experience, mental health, homelessness, substance misuse, and he is the best support worker, a recovery partner that we've got within our team, because he understands it, he gets it, and he knows what good care feels like, because he's received good care, and now he wants to kind of repay that back and ensure that people are getting good care, and it's wonderful. And you know, I've got a team where I've got someone that's been there 30 years, a wealth of knowledge, retention is great, she's got all of the experience, but they're learning from each other, because he's come in fresh and new, and he's coming with all these great ideas, and she's learning from him, and he's learning from all the experience and everything that she's had in the past. So I think as a sector we are evolving, and we are learning, and we aren't just sticking to tick boxes of qualifications and what your previous experience has been. So I think it's great.
I agree. So the other thing is retention. So retention's always been an issue, hasn't it, in care? And there does seem to be a small shift in that. There does seem to be a bit more of a dedication to the career. I don't know if that is because of I mean, it's a bit of a grey area, but the care certificate level 2, there's diplomas that you can now get in health and social care. And where some organisations are larger, there is that growth. Like we've heard a lot here today, Caroline, you worked your way up through the ranks. I went from kind of support worker into deputy manager, managing a service, and then into my learning cloud and training. Trish and Luke, you sound like you've had similar experiences as well, and Amy's done the same and come in to start creating our training for us from her worked experiences. And you just think there is that journey now. It is being seen as a career, not a job. It's not that job that just anyone can do it, because there's so much space in the sector that needs to be recruited to. It is becoming a career, and I think it is that there. I mean, I say there's investment, it has to come from the organisations that you work for, but you can now qualify and go further in this.
One of our greatest achievements is so obviously we're all about professionalising the role of care. So our standardised approach towards training across the whole network, across all 4 countries, you know, Scotland, England, Northern Ireland and Wales, you know, there are variances in that. So there's variances in regulations, but at the base of it, our training for our care professionals is all about the knowledge that they need to meet the client's needs. So that might be they might need to understand diabetes, for example, but they need to understand diabetes, but what that diabetes diagnosis means for the client. So we've got lots of programs. We've got an apprenticeship academy at home instead, so that we can offer fully funded apprenticeships at level 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and level 7s as well. So we go right up the scale, starting off at the 2, and we do business administration as well, because obviously we have lots of different areas that is needed within the business, across all of the whole of the network. But all of that professionalizing the role of care is massively important, because like you say, if you're not making sure that your care professionals are available, able to do the job that they want to do, that they're not supported, then you're never going to retain them. Your retention rate is very, very important, because the longer that you have your care professionals, the more experience that they can give for their clients, but also for other care professionals as well. And you've got that networking ability, that you've got that social interaction that you can have across the whole network, which is amazing for us anyway. So we've managed to develop our own apprenticeship program with a provider. And of course, we've got My Learning Cloud. We have all our e-learning that is specific for home instead. So professionalizing that role of care is massively important and embedded throughout all of our work here at home instead.
I love that, Trish. Yeah, it is really important. It is about that investment into the carers. And I think with all of the years that we've all seemingly worked in care, we've probably experienced the other side of it, where it's not. And it's very much, you don't need a induction, you don't need a probation period. We need someone to go out tomorrow morning and, read the care plan on the job and off you pop. And I like to think, and I'm not being narrow-minded enough to know that it doesn't still happen like that. But there is definite movement to encourage a more positive uptake of staff and a more positive experience within the health and social care sector for the people that join us.
I was just going to say, Gemma, that you only get one chance to make a first impression, and if that first impression for your new starter, whether that be new to your organisation or new to the world of care, if their first experience of the care sector isn't great, it can put them off for life. And I think that's where all care sector, all care agencies, all care care businesses across different sectors, whether that be domiciliary, nursing homes, learning disabilities, we all need to make that commitment to each other, that actually if we all work together and make sure people are onboarded well and inducted well, then yes, they may move on from our organisation, but we want them to stay in the sector. And I think that's a shift in mindset that needs to happen. We have very, very good retention rates at Colten Care for our health carers, and it isn't always the shiny things that other organisations might say they do. It's the things like your first day will be your induction academy. You will get your uniform, you know what shifts you're working. We have good staffing levels, so you're going to be safe. There's good leadership in presence. Yes, you can advertise all these wonderful benefits and shiny things, but care staff soon see through all that. They want the basics. Where am I working next week? What's my rota work like? What's my rota look like? So I know when I can plan appointments and take my kids out for the day. It's those things that we have to get right to improve retention and therefore deliver better care.
Well, it is, isn't it? Especially with everything that's gone on, I think with work-life balance, sometimes health and social care can get forgotten in that, because it is shift patterns, because it is, this and that. And because if you don't have enough staff, you're having to panic almost and be like, oh, I'm going to move you over there, move you over there. Hang on, stop. This is, we are dealing with people who are staff, who are dealing with people who they're supporting. And if we're not showing, like you said, them respect and offering them that really good experience, that's not going to flow through to the people that they're supporting. And let's be honest, there's the good care in terms of every individual providing that, and then there is the brand of the organizations that we work for going, actually, our ethos, our mentality is that you will have that support and benefit from us, and that will flow through. Because if I was meant to be on an early and you've suddenly gone, sorry, I need you on the late now, and I've been given 4 days notice and I've got to upheave everything in my personal life, I'm not going to be giving out good care on that late session. I'm not saying that I'd give out awful care, but you might have a disgruntled member of staff who's then trying to rush through everything because they still want to try and get off a little bit early, or finish their round, or depending on, how you work. And they're just going to be clock watching because that wasn't what they were meant to be doing.
And I know I did it when I was a registered manager. I'm fully happy to admit it, that we
Mm-hmm.
rely on the goodwill of people, and that only lasts so long. So you have to really, yes, we need shifts filling, but we have to think about, like you said, if you want to deliver really outstanding good care, that starts with looking after your people, from my perspective.
I completely agree. And I know, Amy, you had experience of it, didn't you? And the importance of what it is to have that kind of trust, I guess, in the organisation you're working for.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it is that kind of filtering through. And I think, like, we've spoken about support, we've spoken about kind of knowing where you stand, but also the training as well. So I think, Luke, like you said, your first impression. So the first company that I ever worked for had some of the best training I think I've ever seen. It was such a kind of rigorous and ongoing induction kind of process, so that when I did move on to somewhere that wasn't quite the same standard, I took what I learned and I took my experience and my confidence with me, and that I used that to then support other members of staff, to kind of help other members of staff access their training and build their confidence. So it is kind of that selfless thing of seeing the care sector as a kind of a big family, a big network. Like, obviously you want the retention within your brand and within your organization, but if you can kind of have a positive effect on the rest of the sector because you are creating good carers that care in the right way, then that's only a positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, go on, Trish, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I think it's also about asking your care professionals, what is it, what is it that makes their job right? How was the training? All our surveys and evaluations, and, being able to work on that and reflect on their thoughts and feelings as well, and actually implementing stuff. We have something called PEAK at home instead, performing excellence whilst advancing quality. And our results are very, very good, which all leads to retention, which all leads to people being able to be there. We've got 12-week mentoring programs in place, so that we know that our care professionals are supported as well as possible in that first 12 weeks, because we all know that's when we lose them, if we're going to lose them, and have they had the right training? Do they feel confident in the job that they're doing? Do they understand the clients that they're going to be visiting? No care professional goes to any of our clients without that introduction first. That's one of our massive KPIs, and that's massively important. Nobody goes in where they don't know where they're going.
No, and I've clicked along because I think we've covered quite a bit, but strategies for achieving good care is everything we're talking about, isn't it? It is about that training. And I think we get caught up sometimes on kind of the tick box exercise, like you were saying earlier, of be inspection ready. So we're like, oh, the care plans are in and the risk assessments are in. And is anyone reading them? Are we teaching them what that means in the care plans and the risk assessments? Are they readily available? Are they updated regularly enough? But away from the paperwork, are we supporting them to get to know the people that they are supporting it and caring for? And I think it's quite nice because we've got a real mix of with our panelists of who we support. So Caroline services, where they're kind of mental health based, it is a very different kind of world, if you will, to if you're out in domiciliary care for, elderly or learning disabilities, because they've usually come from kind of a hospital-based environment at times, haven't they, Caroline? So it's a different level of care that's required.
I would say within our mental health services, risk assessments and support plans are obviously vital. We call them risk management plans and recovery plans. But it's more about the staff knowing the clients, using opportunistic kind of approaches, because planned and structured support is kind of anxiety provoking a lot for the people that we support. So it's, someone on a good day getting out of bed, and if they ask you for support on that day to go and do something, even if it was planned for like 3 days' time, you go, you do it, you respond, we're flexible, because actually that gives good care for the people that we support, and it enables them to achieve the things they want to achieve. We're always focusing on people's strengths. We're not focusing on their kind of deficits. We're looking at the challenges and we're supporting them to kind of manage those challenges. But it is very much about being flexible and just supporting in the moment. And I think in terms of strategies, it is all that feedback. It is, like Trish was saying, getting that feedback from not only our staff and our other professionals, but our clients. So making sure that we're doing kind of annual or 6-monthly feedbacks. We have working together meetings where we get feedback from our clients. We sort of reflect, and we'll have team meetings as staff and looking at not only kind of the structure stuff, but also the culture. And if there's anything in us that we need to change, are we listening enough? Are we responding enough? Are we, is there any training gaps that we need to fill? To be able to prevent any incidents, be able to de-escalate crisis when someone's in crisis, being able to pick up on those kind of triggers and indicators. And so it's really important that staff feel confident and trained and have the ability to be able to support people when they're in crisis. There's so many things for achieving good care, so many strategies. We do peer quality audits within our organisation, and they're like friendly audits where we just go around to each other's services, a group of managers, and we will do almost a bit like a CQC inspection, but not quite as in depth. And we will talk to the clients, we talk to the staff, we talk to families and friends if they're around, we will talk to other professionals if they're around, and we'll do quality assurance stuff, and we'll look at what plans are in place, what they do to keep people safe, how they're ensuring that people's needs that we're being responsive and effective. And I think that's really important to ensure, because if I've got someone coming to me that I'm familiar with, then I'm probably less afraid and I'm more open, and I'm going to share all of the practice. I'm going to share the things that I feel that there's practice gaps that we need to close. We're going to learn from each other. I'm going to steal their great ideas and I'm going to implement it into my service, and together, build even better services for the people that we support.
Yeah, sometimes we need that fresh pair of eyes, don't we? Because we can get weighed down with the everyday. And I think that's quite easy in what we do, because we're there to support people's lives. And I think that gets overlooked a bit in care. That responsibility, Caroline, obviously you're a registered CQC registered manager. The weight on the shoulders is quite a big thing. So we're so, we can get caught up in that, like you said, we'll forget certain bits, and we're all going to have gaps. So have somebody coming in and supporting and going, oh, this is what we do here and that's what we do there. I think, Luke, you touched on it as well about, yes, as organisations, there will always be a competitive edge, if you will, in the care sector, because they're companies. Okay, we're not blind to that. However, there is that collaborative approach that you can take as well, which really works.
I think when we talk about strategies for achieving good care, I sort of talk quite big picture, so I'm aware of that. But I think the main thing is you've got to work for an organisation where there's psychological safety. People feel safe, and that might mean safe when they're working on the floor, as in a good number of staff, and that they've got good colleagues around them, and that we're inducting the right people into our organisation. But it also comes back to safety to be able to challenge, safety to be able to disagree with management or leadership, safety to be able to say what you really feel at a team meeting, all those things are what, if employees and team members feel engaged and feel safe within the organisation, from all my years, I believe that's the most important. And money and pay, yes, like you said, Gemma, like pay is important, and people will often say pay is the reason why they've left, but we know it's not. It's, they took the job on the money. The pay might not have changed too much. There'll be an underlying reason, and a lot of the time, from my experience, it's come down to not feeling safe in the workplace, emotionally and psychologically and physically. Our client base is residents living with dementia, and the elderly nursing home market has massively changed over the last 10 years. People are moving into care homes a lot later. So the client group that we work with are completely different to those that we might have worked with 10 years ago. Just making sure as an organisation, our training, our opportunities, our structure, our care plans, everything stays up to date with the needs of the client, and we're doing it for all about me. That's our approach, all about me. It's everything we do should be about the resident. And if we're doing something and it doesn't have a direct impact on the resident, then why are we doing it? And so it's so nice when you said earlier about not doing it. I think it was Amy or Trish said something about not doing something for the sake of CQC. Like, CQC should be able to walk into your building at any time, day, night, or service at any time, and you shouldn't change. Nothing should change because you should be ready all the time, in my opinion. So.
No, I agree. It shouldn't be a performance. It shouldn't be a panic. And initially, like anything, if someone's walking into your service, you'll feel the pressure, absolutely. But it should be like a secure pressure. And like you're saying, if your staff feel safe and they feel safe, it all leads into the same thing. Because the individuals we support will feel safe if their staff are treating them and supporting them in the correct way. But it's a really good point that you raise there, Luke, that people are coming into the places like Colten Care, your homes later, because we're therefore trying to keep people in their homes for longer, which means then Trisha, Home Instead, and what you guys do have a completely different experience, because suddenly you're probably doing slightly more in-depth care in home. Luke, by the time they come into a care, it's very different again because they're further on in their diagnosis, and that shift means that training and the stuff that you're talking about, Trish and Luke particularly, but also with Caroline, I know that having worked in the services, it's very different again, isn't it? About, the people that you're supporting now will be at a different caliber to the people that you were supporting 10 years ago. And it's adapting. It's always adapting.
So we're noticing at Home Instead, so we want our clients to be in their own home for as long as possible, or for as long as they want to be in their own home. So we're doing much more healthcare related tasks at home, and we have living carers as well, care professionals. So our training is evolving around that. Home Instead, I started with Home Instead 8 years ago, and we were very much a companionship-led care. Now it's more relationship-led care, and it's the hospital bed of the future, your own home. So it's all healthcare at home, and so care is evolving for Home Instead much more. Which is amazing because the training that we're able to give is massively increased. Luke.
I was just going to say, I remember my first job in a care home, and I remember the car park in that care home was full of cars. The residents living there had their own cars. And, I'm not talking too long ago, 15, 20 years ago, and it's massively different now. The average length of stay in a care home is completely different. So we have to recognise that as a provider, we're dealing with death a lot more than we, and that room could be filled a couple of times because people are coming in a lot later. So there's a piece around resilience, well-being for our team members. It's very hard in a care home setting to 1 minute be doing an activity and singing and dancing with our residents, and the next minute supporting someone at end of life. So it's about, I think the sector has really woke up to the challenges the frontline team members face. On a 12-hour shift, it's like an emotional roller coaster. It could be an emotional roller coaster. So it's making sure, if we want to deliver really good care, I know I keep repeating myself, but you've really got to look after the people that are delivering that care.
No, I completely agree. I think It's a really interesting thought, isn't it? Everything shifted a bit, like you're saying, Luke. You're kind of more, not all the time, but there's a bit more of that kind of end of life hospice feel to care homes now, where people don't want to go into them because reputationally, sadly, that stereotype is there that you wouldn't want to. And also, age isn't what we used to perceive it to be like 20, 30 years ago. It has changed, my nan was in the last, I think, webinar that we did, and I'll bring her up again. She's 97, she's got vascular dementia, and she still lives at home. She has support workers going in. Realistically, a few years ago, she would have been put in a care home by now, but that support is there, and that understanding from people in supporting her in the community to support her in her home. So it's always that evolving. But then, like we said, at 97, you wouldn't maybe expect these years that you're talking back, Luke, when you were there, where she would be. That age range was just completely different, and it's a really good thing. And Caroline, I know where we've worked, we reminisced the other day, and we had losses because I think especially in the mental health world, the diagnosis can come very late, and then it's almost where you would support those individuals. So good care is making sure that your staff, like you're saying, Luke, as well, are trained in the whole realm of everything that's a possibility nowadays in these jobs that we still just see as support work.
I always say that we're privileged to be working in the homes that people live in, and that actually this may be our place of work, but this is their home, and we're privileged to be involved in their everyday life, at their good days, their their difficult days, their vulnerable days. And as staff, we are kind of like family, particularly to a lot of the people that are in the residential home that I manage that don't have family for one reason or another. They've lost touch with family over the years, and we are kind of like extended family. So it's always reminding ourselves that actually this isn't just a job. It's life. It's someone's life, and it's the smallest of interaction can make a massive difference to an individual on that day when they're having a challenging day. And things have changed, and we grieve, when people pass away that we've worked with for 10, 15, 20 years, and we do memorial services and things, and we are part of their life, and I think we're privileged as individuals to be part of their lives. So, and it has changed. We do, and particularly in mental health, it does mask a lot of other health conditions, or it doesn't get taken seriously maybe by some other health professionals, and so therefore people's diagnoses can come late, and then they are at end of life. And we're working with all ages. I've got people from 18 to people that are in their like 70s. So we're constantly having to make sure that we're using the right approach to the right age group of people that we're supporting.
Absolutely.
I remember in my when I started my career, when I was working in social services, actually, a gentleman came to me and he said, I need to go and see my mum. And I went, oh my God, he's in his 70s. Surely he can't really mean he's going to see his mum. Anyway, it turned out his mum was 101 years of age. Now, I'm going back many, many years, and that was very, very unusual. Whereas now, we do actually see people in their 100th year, in 101, 102, 103, and it's like, wow, the aging population is getting older, thankfully, and that's because of the type of care that we're able to provide for people, which is amazing. It's such a difference.
No, absolutely. I'm just looking through these slides. If you see me clicking through, and I'm like, I feel like we've covered a lot. We've spoken about training a lot, and then it's like, why work in health and social care? Now, apart from the fact that everything we've mentioned, I'm like, why? But I think the next question, oh no, that was the why work in health and social care. Maybe we can all just do a sentence or two. For me, you will never have a job like it. And you will never, in a weird way, detach from what you did when you worked on the floor and delivered that care. And for me, everything I do now still goes back to imagining me in that position, in that job, and is what I am doing good for those individuals, because almost envious of the fact that they get to go in and meet those incredible people and do that support work. And yeah, I just love it. Me and Amy have worked on many webinars and gone around to different services, and you can just, I don't, it's going to sound odd. You walk into a service, you start speaking to some of the people that they're supporting, and I just get filled with this kind of like buzz where I'm like, yes, I used to love this. I miss this. So that's me. Amy.
I think kind of it's cliche because it's true, but making a difference and having those relationships with people. But also, I quite like to kind of touch on learning. You learn so much from the people you support. There's such a wealth of experience, cultures, like anecdotes. I have supported some incredible people that have had some incredible lives, and I'm just genuinely kind of grateful that I've got to meet them because I never would have in any other kind of job. And I know, Gemma, you were the same, but my kind of one of my first jobs was working in care. I turned 18 and it was kind of the first adult job I had, and it's genuinely made me who I am. It's changed the way I look at the world and interact with other people, and I don't think many other jobs can do that. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Trish, I'm only going this order because it's across the panel that I can see on my screen.
So for me, I'm going to say, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to do one of the most important jobs, helping somebody with their life skills in their own home and be able to live the best life that they possibly could, and be part of those memories, be part of that living, and be part of the way that they are going to spend the rest of their life. Yeah, why wouldn't you share in those experiences? Like you said, Amy, some of the stories, it's amazing some of the stories that you actually hear and share. It's
And I
about
think
sharing memories. Yeah.
I think we forget that, don't you?
Mm,
Sometimes, like as soon as Amy said it, I don't know about everybody else on this panel, I'm thinking of all the people who have told me random things, and they're there at their most vulnerable at that point sometimes as well. You're shaving someone's face or you're giving them a wash and they're telling you this stuff, and you think you're so vulnerable, you're still sharing. And it's a lovely moment. It really, really is.
Absolutely.
Luke.
Yeah, I was echo everything that Trish said really, but it's like, how would it feel to go home and know that you've made a difference in someone's life? That's what I always go back to people. I think, yeah, you can go and work in a supermarket, and yes, you can go and probably get paid more money and other things, but how would it feel to go home and know that you've done something good? And on the flip side, I also think the sector, and probably all of us on the panel are good testaments of that. There's room for growth in the sector, and there's room for quick growth. I started off in the sector straight out of university, very naive, very young. A brief stint, I left the sector because I wanted to see if I missed it. I did 18 months outside of the sector, and every month I was trying to get back into the sector because I knew I missed it. But sometimes you have to leave something to know if you do miss it or not. But yeah, there's such an opportunity to grow. I'm lucky enough to have worked hard, but also, promotions and developed in my career, and the sector has given me so many opportunities to meet people, experiences, and memories, like you said, of just some amazing conversations with people that I know I'm going to always hold on to. So yeah, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Good point. And last but by no means least, Caroline.
Exactly the same as what everyone said. It's very heartwarming, isn't it, when we talk about it? But yeah, I think for me, I work in the sector. Initially, I came into the sector because my dad has significant injury in mental health, schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and I supported him, on a personal level. And I was just like, I want to do this. This feels good. This is rewarding. I can make a difference, and I enjoy it. So that's why I got into the sector in the first place. And just it's working with the individuals, learning and sharing all the time. The opportunities that are available to us as individuals as well as workers is great. But it's part of my identity now. It's who I am, and it's not just a job. You don't go home and switch off from it. You're constantly thinking about the people that you're part of their lives, and how you can support them to have a better day the next day, or celebrate a fantastic day. And it's just such a rewarding job. You make a difference. That's the value. It's not about the pay. It's the value of the feeling that you get And yes, it's challenging, and yes, it's difficult, and sometimes you're pulling your hair out, but actually those little moments that you experience when someone achieves something they've been wanting to achieve for ages, that's the bit that makes all those harder days worth it. But yeah, I don't think I could do anything different.
I think once you've got the bug, that's it, isn't it? You're in, and you can tell because, like I said, the amount of years we've all been in it, it is one of those sectors. Luke tried to escape, he couldn't do it. So I think it is. It just shows, and it does. It can pay back. So Q&As, Amy, can you see if we
have
got? We haven't. Wonderful. I always see it as a good thing because I always think we must have covered everything that people were expecting us to cover in these webinars. So one, before we finish, thank you so much to the wonderful panelists. Thank you for being here today with us and sharing your experiences and your wealth of knowledge on health and social care. We really do appreciate you being with us. Thank you to everyone for joining us and listening. It's been 52 minutes of, I think, just love for the sector. As corny as that might sound, it just radiates, and I've enjoyed every second of it. And thank you to my colleague and trusty webinar buddy, Amy. She always keeps me in check and makes sure everything goes smoothly because she knows that I'm not that good at that bit. So thank you everyone for joining us. We will have another webinar coming up soon, and we will send out links to this webinar for you to be able to share. And we've just had a comment, and thank you, Diana. And we will share this with everybody. And it will be on our YouTube channel. So until next time, take care, everyone.